over time that you can basically do a biosimilar super quickly. So you say it's like a content, right? Then what if you could just modify that very, very quickly, right? Or reproduce that very, very quickly. So arguably you could say, hey, how about patents and so forth? But, a lot of patents are kind of coming off. A lot of drugs are coming off patent nowadays, right? So you can rapidly make a biosimilar or some form of generic, right? And then so that should squeeze the margins of the big pharma companies. Whereas, say like a lab company, I'll use Garden as example. They have a test called Shield, which is a early screening test, right? Detects supposedly cancer earlier. In this case, it's specifically colorectal cancer earlier, right? And they're trying to make that all cancers in the future, right? Now, you can imagine that test being generating just as much revenue as a drug, right? As a mega drug. Let's say right now it's at $800 roughly to get reimbursed. For some of the drugs, some of the tests they do they don't get any reimbursement. Some they get reimbursement. So averages out to something like $800. ASP, average sales price, is about $800, right? Let's bring that down to $200, right? At some point in time. But let's say they're operating at cost them $50 to run. Right now, it costs them $200 to run. If it becomes 100 million people that take a test every single year, which is not unreasonable, I think, then that's $20 billion, right? If it's 200 million, that's like $40 billion. And I think what you said was interesting to me was this idea, and I haven't thought about it this way, was the lab infrastructure, right? That's in some ways a moat. It's like the logistics is a very, very heavy moat, right? Because then you can't just do a generic version of it. You have to like recreate the entire infrastructure to like provide the actual testing itself, right? And wouldn't that then say, if the drugs are cheap but you need the data, then the companies that arguably create the data, hold the data, have longitudinal data on you, wouldn't that make them more kind of almost important